Awesome. So welcome to our first meeting of 2022. I'm going to begin with our land acknowledgement, acknowledging that the land that we're on is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of the First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of our past as we continue to move forward in the spirit of reconciliation. And as we do at our meetings, I'll begin with a statement of hope and gratitude. So as always, I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to meet together in this virtual format. It allows us to still get our work done. And I hope that we all have a good 2022 ahead of us. So Tom, I'll put it over to you to call the order. No, I can't hear you, Tom. Uh-oh. I lost Tom. So close. One day we'll get this all right.
We could run some string and get some tin cans and see how that works.
Yeah, that might work okay.
Till the trucks drive on it.
You were doing so well. Maybe we should put on a show for all our YouTube watchers. There's nobody watching.
To start making some Star Trek or some kind of themes. Beam me up, Scotty. We gotta find Tom. Beam him back in.
So funny. I spoke to him earlier today and we were all set, ready to go.
Make it educational. Go. Oh, there we go.
No, Tom's not here yet. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Tom, are you back? Ah, he's gone again. Oh no. I don't know whether to be like heartened that this still happens or not.
It makes us less seem like robots when this kind of stuff happens.
I think so.
Just
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Tom.
You can hear me now?
We can. You're a little bit quiet, but we can hear you.
Some people would say that's a good thing. Anyway, welcome. Sorry about, I had trouble with this for my last committee adjustment meeting too.
Oh man.
So I'm having trouble with it. I actually went to another computer last meeting. Anyway, welcome. Call the meeting to order. I got to see who's here now somehow.
We have Catherine Eby is here. She's our new liaison officer from the Ministry of Environment. So she's here with Mary Wooding.
And Mary is with us as well. Welcome to them. Welcome, Catherine. We're not usually as unruly as this.
Oh, it's all good.
So Mary, during your little spot on the agenda later on, maybe you can help us with Kathy's resume and introduce her to us properly, okay?
Absolutely. Will do.
So the only other thing I have was something that has absolutely nothing to do with source protection, but just want to bring it to your attention. I subscribe to the Provincial Appointments Secretariat And on there, whenever any kind of public appointment to a board or a committee or whatever comes up and my credentials suit it, I get a notice about it. So as a matter of fact, the one I got this week was a notice to every Conservation Ontario in Ontario is listed in this notice as having an appointment available to each of the conservation authorities, a local appointment in the nature of someone to represent the farm community. This is something new. And maybe Larry knows about this since he sits on ERCA. But it looks like there's an opportunity for the farming community to begin to have some kind of input in a organized way to the ERCA board. So if anybody's interested, I can send you the link and you can look at what they're asking for and what the requirements would be to apply to it. It is a provincial appointment, not an ERCA board appointment, as I understand it. Although I'm sure that the ERCA board will have input as well. So that's just for those of you in the farming community who might want to participate in another way in the conservation movement that ERCA so greatly holds for us. So that's that. The agenda is there someplace. There it is. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? This is the part that gets me switching back and forth. I need another monitor. And declaring an interest in this meeting. Seeing none. Seeing none. The next item is, go back to the agenda and lose you again.
Approval of agenda.
Agenda. Can you guys hear me at all?
You're quiet. I had to turn my volume up to be able to hear you.
All right. So then there's a problem with my audio too.
But I can hear you with my volume up.
I know, but I spoke to Tim twice and he didn't. So
Some of us old people can't hear you.
what? Okay. Anyone want to move the agenda then? Please. Matthew and Jim Drummond, all in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, so the next item. This is terrible. Where is it?
Adoption of minutes.
Okay, the minutes were circulated today, I believe, from our last meeting in November, I believe. And so is there a mover on those minutes? No, I've lost you again. That got to get quick going as the agenda. Oh, this is horrible.
Here, I'll share my screen so you can see the agenda up on the,
There we go. That'll help.
yeah,
Mm.
there. Good.
Okay, the agenda was pre-circulated. So is there a motion to adopt the minutes from the last meeting? Ron Barrett, Chris Smith. Any addition, deletion, correction? They're pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. And now I can
We can't click anywhere.
Katie Stamler has started screen sharing. And
Yeah, we can't see your screen. We just see a black screen, Katie.
Yeah, my computer's frozen now.
Well, I have to tell you that this is how my day started. My entire computer would not start till about 11:20 today. So it might be me.
No, this happened to me the last time I tried to share my screen, and it just took a little bit for my computer to decide it wanted to do that.
Oh, there we go. So this
That was-
isn't me, this is you.
It is me.
Alright,
Yes,
alright.
this is
I feel
definitely
much
me.
Better now.
Comedy of errors,
Okay,
but
we
I
approved
can't.
the Agenda, we've adopted the minutes. There is no
Course.
correspondence.
Yep.
I found none.
I'm back.
And so Mary Wooding is going to give us a brief update. Soon as she
I just need a mute. I just need 1 minute because I too am working off one screen and I don't have multiples, and I'm just going to run over to my updates. Give me 1 second. So, okay, so as we recall back in December, Tom had met with our director, Kirsten Korgel, and Kirsten made a commitment, and our branch made a commitment that the director would meet with the chairs across the province annually. And all those meetings took place as of December 13th, and there's a commitment to continue that for this coming year as well. So in the next couple of months, Tom can look forward to another meeting with Kirsten. And it's a really good opportunity just for that relationship type building. And Kirsten's new to our branch, so it's an important way to garner that mutual support. The director technical rules, and I'm sure Katie's going to talk about this quite a bit tonight, but they were approved and they're posted on the Environmental Registry of Ontario on December 3rd. There's an important part of this director technical rules that the project managers like Katie will be looking forward to, which is guidance that will be released as soon as we have it ready. It's under like the final stages of review.
Oh, good.
But yeah, exactly. But the time of release is still a little bit unknown. At this point, we're encouraging the project managers across the province to come up with focused questions after they review the DTRs and the guidance. And then if necessary, there'll be regional discussions and sessions with that we can sort of take care of those outstanding questions. So there'll be support going forward with that. The best practices for source water protection. So this is a tool to help ensure communities and landowners in areas that are not covered by provincially approved source protection plans, that they have the tools they need to protect their sources of drinking water. So we've released new best practices for, we're working on the release of those best practices. So it's going to be like a user-friendly guide. It'll be posted on ontario.ca. So it'll be sort of easy to understand information and tips for everybody from private landowners and farmers, cottagers, and First Nations and other communities to protect their sources of drinking water from contamination. So the example strategies include like how to ensure a septic system is functioning properly and how to store on-site fuel tanks and pesticides safely. So same sort of addressing the same threats that we addressed under the Clean Water Act, but in a sort of these other tools. So the best practices will be accompanied by a survey because we're hoping to kind of garner more information and feedback that will help us sort of do a continual improvement of the best practices tool going forward. So we're hoping for that release to come out shortly. So on the funding front, the transfer payment agreements for the existing year that we're in, the 2021-2022 fiscal year, they're in place and we're working through those to March 31st, 2022. And then the draft final report for that funding will be due to the ministry, and Katie's, I'm sure, working on that for February 28th. So we've received all of the work plans on the go forward basis for the 2022-2024 fiscal year, and we're in the progress of reviewing them internally and in consultation with the source protection authorities if we have questions about that submission. As far as like the broader branch is continues to work on the review and consultation on the submissions that we received for section 34, which are the plan amendments, those one-off amendments for new wells and drinking water systems and updates to plan or amendments to plans. And all of the, or most of the other committees are working on their more broader comprehensive plan update, the section 36 update. Currently, we've received three of those section 36 updates from Matagami, Sudbury, and Sault Ste. Marie. So for annual reporting, the ministries, the implementing body ministries have all completed their annual reporting for the 2021 reporting year. These reports were submitted by to all the SPAs, all the source protection authorities. So Katie would have received that on February 1st. The SPAs can access their ministry annual reports directly through what we call the electronic annual reporting database, or an online tool called EAR, because we love acronyms. That information that Katie received on February 1st is what you as the committee will roll up in that progress report that's due back to us by May 1st of 2022. Let me see. Tom sort of mentioned the agricultural reps that were posted on the Public Appointments Secretariat, and that's part of the Conservation Authorities Act update. So to implement the recent changes to the Conservation Authorities Act, new regulations were filed in October of 2021 as like a first phase. So these regulations set out details on the framework and the programs and the services that support the core mandate of the conservation authorities. One of these core mandates is source protection. So we're one of the mandatory programs that the Conservation Authority will have going forward. So building on that progress and to support a smooth transition by conservation authorities to new funding framework by January 1st, 2024, the second phase of the regulatory and policy proposals were posted for consultation. I believe it was late January. So that's moving forward. And that's all I have for updates today.
And can you give us a little bit more of an introduction to Catherine?
I would love to do that. Just one moment. I'm just going to run over to something I have here. So we're really excited that Catherine's joined us. Catherine actually was in the ministry. She's been with the ministry for 17 or 18 years. Catherine has an she has an honors bachelor's degree in environmental science from University of Guelph, with a major in earth and atmospheric science and a minor in environmental economics and policy. And after working briefly in the private sector as an environmental consultant, she started with the ministry as a terrestrial scientist, and Catherine has spent the last 17 years as a senior environmental officer. She generally works out of the Toronto area, as I understand it. And for 10 years, she worked with Spills Action Center, which is great because that often comes up at the table. So the last 7 years, she's worked in the Toronto district office. And she has a busy life outside of work. She has 3 teenagers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we're very excited, and Catherine is a quick study, and it's just been wonderful. So I think you'll quite enjoy, your Catherine as your liaison. And thank you for the short time that I spent here.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary.
And if I could just say, thanks, Mary. I've been here all of 8 days, so I really do appreciate Mary coming. And I just wanted to say I'm very excited to be joining this team in this role. And it's very nice to put some faces to names and to the work, because I've been reviewing the work that you're doing as well. So hello, and thank you for all of that, Mary.
Pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Chair.
Sent a reference and thought, boy, perfect. That's one of our major areas, one of the major organizations that we deal with in terms of spills. So that's great. Looking forward to working with you, Catherine, and thank you very much, Mary, for the many years you've been with us, and you're not going anywhere. I hope.
Not yet. No.
Okay. Well, looking forward to working with you again in the future.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Mary from the committee? Seeing none. The next item on the agenda is reports. Presentations, there are none.
Nope.
Reports. There's only one report today, and that's to bring us up to date on what Katie's been doing for the last 2 months at least, and probably more than that.
Who knows? Okay. You can see the slide deck. Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. Catherine, as what I like to do with the committee, we send out the agenda with the report, but I like to also prepare a bit of a slide deck so that we can walk through the reports in detail. And in this particular case, I want to use this as an opportunity to remind us of what we're up to and what's coming up for us. And I think, source water has a lot of details and a lot of technical stuff behind it. So I try to always make sure that you guys as the committee have the information that you need in each meeting to have an understanding of what we're talking about. And there's a lot of new faces around the table. So wanted to make sure we take some time to go through what we're up to. So I wanted to start with giving you just some important dates that we've already seen and what's coming up. So January 2015 is when we submitted our source protection plan and assessment report. I was here, at IRCA for all of maybe 8 months before that happened. So this was a pretty momentous occasion when that happened. Then the plan is reviewed by the ministry and it was approved in April of 2015. At the time the ministry approves your source protection plan, they also issue what's called a Section 36 order. And that order tells you when you need to do a comprehensive review of your source protection plan. So the source protection plan is not a static document. It's something that's meant to be reviewed every so often. And this Section 36 order tells you when that needs to happen. So our order said we needed to have that review completed by November 30th, 2018. Which we did accomplish. But in between those dates, we had our implementation date for a source protection plan was October 2015. And then we did do a couple of updates in between. So we used what's called a Section 51 update in 2016 to update our fuel policies. And then we also did use Section 51 in June of 2019 and December of 2019 to do some other updates. And then we did submit our work plan in 2018, and May 2019, we received an amended Section 36 order, which tells us what we must do to bring our plan up to date. So lots of fun things have been going on. So when I talk about Section 51 and Section 36, what am I talking about? So there's these 4 different ways that you can amend or update a source protection plan. Section 34, like Mary mentioned, that's for when you have a new system coming online, which is something that we've never had to deal with and likely won't have to deal with in the future because we don't get our drinking water from wells. So we have our 7 intakes, and that's not likely to change. Section 35 is a minister's order. I haven't seen any of those happen for anybody yet. The section 36 is that mandatory update that everybody has to do. So that's what we're working our way through. And then the section 51 is contained within the regulations of the Clean Water Act. And that allows us to do minor amendments to typographical errors and things like updating websites and that sort of thing. So we did our section 36 work plan. We took a very comprehensive review of the source protection plan. And this was provided to us by the ministry, this step-by-step way of going through and looking at all of these different elements. And I've attached the section 36 work plan again for you so that you can go back to it and take a look and see, this is what we looked at in 2018 and decided were proposed updates that we thought were necessary. And that document goes through in great detail, why we need to do that amendment and how we're going to do it. And so I do encourage you to take a look at that, as that's the work that we're going to be conducting through the rest of 2022. And we put in 15 proposed updates based on our look at all of these different things. As I said, then we get our section 36 amended order from the minister, and that included the details for our mandatory updates. And they indicated that 9 of the 15 proposed updates that we had would be considered mandatory, including most of our critical updates. And anything that they didn't indicate as non-mandatory, we can still do, but it has to be at the discretion of our municipalities and our SPC, and as funding is available to do it. So what they indicated as mandatory updates is basically anything that is making sure that we're in line with the latest version of the Director Technical Rules, which I'm going to talk about, and then addressing any implementation challenges. So we had identified that delineation of our event-based areas, transport pathways, and those the NASM policies, the non-agricultural source material, those policies were challenging to implement. So we talk about the Director Technical Rules. The Director Technical Rules are it's the roadmap, if you will, and the methodology for how we execute any of the technical work that's needed to keep us in line with the Clean Water Act. And it's very detailed, and it lays out step by step exactly how each of the different processes, from identifying a vulnerable area, identifying what the vulnerability score is, hazard scores, all of those different things are contained within the Director Technical Rules. And those have been amended several times since the beginning of the program as newer improved science becomes available, or we realize that something's not in line with another piece of legislation. Those Director Technical Rules get updated. And that's happened twice since our source protection plan was approved, once in 2017 and then again in 2021. When the Director Technical Rules are updated, it undergoes extensive consultation. So we saw that those proposed amendments to the Director Technical Rules we saw back in 2020, and that's when that other document that was included with this agenda, that's when we prepared that document. And I went through at that time the Director Technical Rules and pulled out what was going to have an impact for the Essex region, and tried to make a bit of a plan and an idea of how we were going to see these new Director Technical Rules and what the impact would be on our source protection plan. And then we provided comment on that, as did many other source protection authorities and others. The ministry took all of those comments into consideration, and the final version of the Director Technical Rules was released at the beginning of December. So what I did in December then is that I took that final version of the Director Technical Rules, and they had a track changes version available that showed the difference from the proposed version, the difference from the 2017 version, and all of the different levels of detail. So the document that's in the agenda for you has our first initial assessment from 2020, and then it also shows what changed in the final version. So it all sounds a little bit complex, but I tried to lay it out as clearly as possible so that we can see, what the impact is for the Essex region and how things change between the proposed version and the final version. And really that final version just has some editorial tweaks to it. So basically everything that we talked about in 2020 holds for the 2021 final version of the Director Technical Rules. Where there's changes and it grows very complex for me to try to present it to you is in the table of drinking water threats. So there's a lot of little small editorial changes there. We talk about the table of drinking water threats. So there are 22 prescribed drinking water threats. So these are categories that, you know, the ministry lumps these actions that could cause a threat to our sources of drinking water. There are 20 water quality threats and 2 water quantity threats. And here in the Essex region, we don't have water quantity threats because we don't use groundwater. Every one of the threat categories can also have sub-threats, and the threats and the sub-threats have circumstances, and the circumstances would be, for example, with fuel tanks greater than 5,000 liters, above grade, below grade, partially below grade. So those are your circumstances. Each of the circumstances is associated with a score, and then we have our vulnerability scores associated with our intakes, and that tells us where a particular circumstance can be a significant drinking water threat. And I'm going to say this to you today, and it's probably you're going to be like, ugh, and we're going to go over it lots of times as we discuss things. Just trying to warm you up to the conversation that we're going to be having throughout the year. So that's what's changed, because there's been a lot of changes in the table of drinking water threats. So that's going to be a really careful look at exactly what those changes are, how we need to change our policies, if we need to change our policies. So right now, our source protection plan is in compliance with the Director Technical Rules that were approved at the time that we prepared our source protection plan. While we're doing our Section 36 amendment, we're going to bring it up into compliance with this new version of the Director Technical Rules. And that's the work that we're going to be doing throughout 2022. These are the 22 prescribed drinking water threat activities at that sort of high level. I'm not going to list all the sub threats and everything because it does start to get very complex. Where you see a little asterisk beside there, those are the threats that have changes to the circumstances that will affect our policies. So there's a fair number of things that are going to change. This table just gives you a really high level look at the threats, the sub-threat, whether there's going to be a policy change, whether we might need new policies, whether there's a new vulnerable area involved, and potential new threats. So you can see there's a fair bit ahead of us to discuss. And what I'm going to do is, for our next several SPC meetings, we'll tackle a subset of each of these and go through how what the changes are and what that impact might be, so we can discuss how we might bring our policies up to speed. And we're going to come back to this table throughout the year. This table lists all of the updates that we're going to be doing for the Section 36 update. And it's numbered, so it's this set here is what was given to us by the ministry as our mandatory updates in our Section 36 work order. And it's color coded, so those sort of light yellowy color. And if anybody's colorblind, I apologize. I tried to make it contrasting, so at least there's some contrast there. So that slight yellow color means we're in progress, and some of them are very close to done. The green color means that we've already done it, and the red means that we haven't yet started it. And then we've also got some dates for expected completion for each of those tasks. These are our SPC identified actions. So reassessing microsystem as a drinking water issue. We heard about that in the fall. And I'll do another update this fall, including the Detroit River data, and I'll do an update on the Lake Erie data because we haven't looked at that for about 5 or 6 years, and then we'll include that as a final version into the plan. Completing the risk assessment. There's a piece of that risk tool, the climate change risk assessment, that the Conservation Authority can complete to look at the climate data, and then we have to hand it over to the municipalities to do their section of it. And it's up to the municipalities whether they want to conduct that risk assessment or not. So we'll get an update on that throughout the year as well to see whether that's anything that the municipalities want to pursue. And then I've already forgotten we did this, but we reduced the number of monitoring policies some time ago to just sort of make the plan a little bit easier to read. And then bringing us into compliance with the director technical rules. Most of that's going to be around the table of drinking water threats. And there's a few other things that we need to confirm. Some of it we may not actually need to do. We just might need to look at the new version of the rules and make sure that we're complying and doing things the way that we want to be doing them. One of the tasks that we have to complete is that we will need to look at our impervious area in certain vulnerable areas, because that has an impact on our road salt and I believe the snow storage. So those are some works that we need to conduct. And then we'll just go through the whole thing when we're done and make sure that it's all edited and looks good. And Tom Dufour will make us up all of our maps and make sure our maps are all up to speed. So once we're done all of that, it's going to be a busy year, but it's going to happen and we're going to do it and it's going to be great. And I'm going to keep telling myself that. So once we're all done all the work, we move into our consultation phase. And part of that is early consultation with the source protections branch, which, we do that as we're going. I'm in communication all the time with our LOs and with the technical staff at the ministry, making sure that we're going about things in the correct way. So we have that sort of early engagement that's ongoing, and then they still get an opportunity to review everything. And we move into pre-consultation with our implementing bodies and the ministry, so that the municipalities get an opportunity to see what we've been up to. And then we have our public consultation. So the goal is to have the whole thing submitted by the end of 2023. So we've got a lot of stuff ahead of us, but we've got a doable timeline here. And you guys are going to be involved and engaged through the whole thing. So this is our meeting schedule for the upcoming year. This is the plan anyway. So we're meeting today, February 9th, reviewing, giving you sort of that high level overview of what we're up to. And you can see some of that work planning that we're doing. In March, we're going to hear the annual report. And then starting in June, we'll get into the nitty gritty of this technical work that we've been discussing. And I've numbered them so that it matches the number of the update as well. So we're gonna try to keep up with that table and with that numbering system, so that we can try to keep everybody on track, keep myself on track, what we're doing and where we're at with everything. So that's the plan, and that's everything that we're up to. So I think I will stop sharing so we can open up if anybody has any questions or anything.
Questions from anybody?
Hopefully it's not all gobbledygook.
It's not a lot of pages. It took me a while to find the recommendation, actually. Seeing nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
You're ready? You're ready to dig in?
Everybody's happy.
All right.
So you want to just move your recommendation?
Yeah, the recommendation is just to receive.
Receive the report from Katie. So you've all read it, Ron and Nelson? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. I think that brings us to the end of the agenda.
I do have a little tiny bit of other business.
I'm just looking here. New business? No new business? Other business?
Yeah, I've got just a couple, where did my notes go? Just a couple little notes. So the risk management agreement has been renewed for another 3 years with our municipality. So that's good news. Mary mentioned the phase 2 consultation on the Conservation Authorities Act is open now for public review and comment. And then Tom's been asking about social media impact. So I had our Aaron Zimmer take a look at some of our social media content and sort of see how we're doing in terms of interactions. So we've been participating in the Winter Wednesday posts. And so what the project managers and Conservation Ontario have been doing for maybe the last year or two is we get together and we create a set of social media content per season, basically. And then that gets pushed out, and all of our communications folks at our different conservation authorities can use that consistent messaging. So we've been participating in that and getting those source water messages out. And most of that in the wintertime is around road salt usage and snow removal. Now, this is going to sound like nothing to you guys, and it sounded like nothing to me either, but Aaron said our engagement rate is 1.5 to 5%. And he said that's not going to sound very good, but it's actually quite excellent because the average engagement rate on Twitter is 0.07%. So what that means is that, the people that are following our accounts are looking at this content and they are engaging with it, which is great. That means that we're providing some good and valuable content to IRCA's social media accounts. And we've had 148 views of our road sign video. So that's good. That's one of our highest viewed videos. We don't have, a huge audience. So I think that's really good. And, if you have any ideas for new content for this year, then hit me up and we'll figure out how to make some cool new video content. I think it'd be kind of neat to, sort of talk through what a risk management plan looks like. So, just let me know if you have any ideas.
Nobody's volunteering yet.
That's okay.
I'll have to think about it, I guess.
It's okay.
Yeah, and in that area, I think the kind of questions that you get at your desk or that they get out front that repeat, those are the kind of topics you probably want to look at. So I don't know if so informally ask if people are asking about source protection issues, or what are they asking, if anything, so that we can direct it to respond to a need to know out there as well.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. If nobody has any other business for the meeting, the last time.
Mr. Chair? It's Mary.
Mary.
Yep. I just want to mention, and it may not apply because I'm not that familiar with your region yet, but there is an opportunity for risk management official and inspector training coming up in March. So if there's any municipalities that would have any holes in that role and they want to consider that through Katie, they can get in touch with our coordinator, Sam Matias.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. We do have, we provide risk management for all of the municipalities here.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. Yes, Albert.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask, will that be coming up again, Katie? Because I was going to get Kyle in there, but he's pretty busy with inspections, but he was really interested in taking it. I would really like to see him take it. So
you want him to take like the ministry course for risk management, or you want us with me?
Yeah, with you.
Yeah, we can do that anytime.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Quiet bunch today. Okay. I have to apologize for being late for the meeting. You get older. Anyway, and I have had trouble with my equipment, so.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so time for adjournment, I guess. Tim
So
Barnett.
moved.
And John Barrett. Okay. Barnett. All in favor. Thank you very much for attending, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
And gals.
We'll
Thank you,
see you in March.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
looking forward.
See you
Thanks,
next month.
everyone.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Lisa's gone too. Good. After all that, we chatted and everything.
And I knew I was gonna have trouble too. I knew I had to-
Whatever. It keeps us human. Keeps us human.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get, in 15 years, I guess I get the one meeting that's late.
Yeah. Whatever.
Thank
All
you,
good.
Lisa.
She's already gone.